Hey, it's Fitz, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out the Rock Radio podcast. I wanted to do a little plug for my own company here, RockVox Recording and Production. If you have any needs for podcasting or video production or voiceover, look no further than RockVox Recording and Production. You can find us at rockvox.com or the social media platform of your choice. A full-service podcast and video podcast studio at your fingertips right here in Bushnell's Basin, just a short drive from the city of Rochester. Check us out, rockvox.com.
Round, go the Records.
4.5 minutes after 9 o'clock our time on BBF, home of the busiest bees in radio.
Well, you know, you're looking for publicity, right?
There you go. She's picked up on it. See, we're making headway here.
How far up are you there?
I'm 265 feet up.
Gosh, I guess falling down isn't an option, huh? That would sure get press. That would get a lot of...
Okay, now, since I've got you on the phone, what would I have to do to get you to write about this?
Well, I think I just sort of slipped that in kind of subtly there.
Tony and Dee in the morning.
Welcome to the Rock Radio podcast, where I talk to the folks that really kept radio amazing here in Rochester. And of course, you can't have that conversation without Tony Infantino, who I had the pleasure of working with for a short time.
Yeah.
Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. This is a nice setup. You
Thank
got
you.
a nice gig going on.
Thank you. We try to get, I tried to figure out what the radio station didn't do, and I did that here.
You can write a book. You can fill a library, not just with any radio station.
As could you, and that's
Yeah.
why you're here.
Yeah, boy.
So right now, everyone knows you as Tony Infantino, but back in the day, you started off as
Tony Matthews.
Tony Matthews.
What happened was I was 21 or 2 years old, and I had gotten my first job in Rochester after college and a couple of other stations. And about an hour or two before I was going on the air, it was a new station, Magic 92. Me and two other guys put it on the air, Al Peterson and Doug James, who was the morning guy. Peterson was the PD, and I was the new hire. And
right out of college?
No, I'd worked, oddly enough, I was working in college, and then I worked out of college all nights in Elmira for 5 months from midnight to 6 at WENY in Elmira.
And you were living in Rochester?
No, I was living down there in Watkins Glen.
Okay.
And then a weekend job opened up at Magic. It was a new station. They were looking for people. And so I said, well, I'll take the weekend because I just wanted to get out of Elmira. Midnight to 6.
Gee, why?
Midnight to 6 in Elmira. Well, it's a nice little town, actually, but their city, but, midnight to 6.
Right.
And then over the weekend, it became a full-time job when they decided to put me on full-time and another guy that they had hired not. And so
Didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I was very happy about that.
Who was the station owner for that one?
It was called Lynn Broadcasting. They owned a station called WBBF at the time.
Okay, so they owned BBF.
Yeah, so it was BBF, and then it was WBFB-FM, which played classical music. Oh. And then they tried WNWZ, all news. And that lasted for not long on FM. And don't forget, it was 1977. And then they switched over to Magic 92, which was a kind of like a soft rock, jazz fusion. It was a combination of like Steely Dan and some jazz fusion stuff and weird, great stuff. Great
70s.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was 1977 when I got hired. So it didn't last, for a year. Then they went rock.
Yeah.
And we went up against CMF, and then we had a consultant come in. We'll get to that in a second. But so, yeah, about 5 minutes, an hour or so before I went on the air, the guy, Al Peterson, not from Rochester, had no idea that it's kind of an Italian town. And there was a big restaurant called Infantino's that on Lake Avenue had a 3-story sign that said Infantino's. Now, they're no relation, but everybody knew that last name.
Yeah.
But I was 22 years old. I was scared to quit, even question him. He was all of 26. But to me,
Oh, wow.
man,
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
Seasoned pro.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I took Matthews because he said, "What's your mother's maiden name?" I went Mattioli, and he said, "All right." And Tony Mattioli has a nice ring.
That is a really cool
and
name.
and I thought if I ever went to another town, or I would use Tony Macaroni, because why not, right? But so we went with Matthews for 20 years. I hated it because it wasn't my name. And it was my
So
home.
you had that name for 20
20
years.
years.
Wow.
Yeah, and any other town in the world, I don't care, but my hometown.
Yeah, that's when you want to be known.
Yeah. So on my 20th anniversary, the Democrat and Chronicle did a story on me, and I made sure that the reporter, Eugene Marino, another Paisan, I told him my real name. I spelled it out loud for him. He printed it in a paper. The next day, I said, "Okay, it's over. We're done here." And he just started going.
Jig is up.
Jig is up. I
Yeah.
went by Tony Infantino, and it was fun. As a matter of fact, one of my brother's friends who did a lot of parody songs, he took Just a Gigolo, and he made it into Tony Infantino. Then that day, he came on the show the next day, like we had planned
Like
it.
he had planned it, a
was
big reveal.
Yeah. It
That's
was
great.
because, Tony Infantino instead of I'm just a jiggle. It was just funny. It was terrific. And so that was nice. We got rid of the Tony Matthews thing. Matthews is a nice name. It's just not mine.
So, you bring up the song parody, and it's kind of one of the things that you've become known for in this
Yes.
town. So when did you start doing the song parodies? Was it right off the bat, or did it take you a while to actually get into that groove?
CMF when I started doing those. I did, I want to say in 1984, James Watt was our interior secretary for the Reagan administration, and he didn't want the Beach Boys to play on the mall. Okay, for the Beach Boys, right? And
They're so controversial.
yes, exactly. And so he said something, and I used the quote, and I took a blues tune, instrumental, and sang the James Watt blues. And whatever the quotes he did, I rearranged it, and I came on as Blind Melon Matthews, and because I was still using Matthews then. And I did, and so then that blossomed to like every week I'd write another blues tune about what happened in the week, and it was fun. And then I went to VOR after that, and I changed it to rap, and I took Parents Just Don't Understand by DJ Jazzy J.
Yeah.
And I made it, I was Nathaniel Newsworthy and The Truth Be Told. And we did rap songs for a few years. And then...
we got to hear some. You got to dig up some of those rap songs and send them over.
I don't think they'd be politically correct at this point in time.
Yeah, and that's the problem. When you're looking at history, you can't really look at it through today's lens, or else you get into trouble.
You get in trouble. But they were funny, and so we did that for a while. And then when I went from VOR to Warm, I just kept doing it. I just recorded one today for our lovely mayor, Lovely Warren, who just resigned.
Bye-bye.
I took Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder and said goodbye to Lovely. So, and I used to do one a week for many, many years. And it was a lot of fun. I do them sporadically now.
Yeah.
But I did them, that's... And one of my favorites I did was not a parody song. I wrote, I was driving through Henrietta, and I saw a sign that said, "Keep Henrietta Beautiful." And parts of Henrietta are beautiful. But Jefferson Road is Henrietta, and that's not beautiful. So I took that, and I wrote like a Broadway song. And I had a friend who's got a recording studio who has, keyboards. He played every instrument on the keyboard. And I did, a whole bit about Keep Henrietta Beautiful, in where I busted balls out of every town in the city. And then I came back to Keep Henrietta Beautiful. And it was great because the supervisor of the town of Henrietta hated it. And he was interviewed on the news and in the Democrat and Chronicle. And so it made me more famous because if he just shut his stupid mouth,
right,
it would have not been heard outside of my radio station. But well, one of my first, it just reminded me. Remember the Where's the Beef?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wendy's.
Yeah. And again, I think I was at CMF at the time. Yeah. I wrote a song called Where's the Beef? And it was Hungry Hank is what I went under. And I wrote this song with hired a band. We played it. And and I was on CMF, and I played it on my station. I didn't say who it was. It just said it was Hungry Hank. It didn't say it was me. And it was a country song. Where's the beef? I sang like that, right? And then I sent it to the competition, and a reel-to-reel, Hungry Hank. And I had the radio on a transistor in the studio every day. And as soon as my competition played it, I told people who it was. And I called the Democrat and Chronicle.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then Channel 13 got a hold of the story. And I did it live on Channel... Don Elhart used to have a morning show. And we did it live at Marketplace Mall in front of just a whole bunch of people. And obviously I embarrassed the morning guy from the other station because that was the goal. That's what we did back then. And it was great because he was like the worst. I'm sorry. But it was fun to do that and all that sort of stuff.
Back when you can play a song that someone mails you on a tape.
Exactly. I wouldn't do it now, I mean, why would I chance that now?
Yeah, right.
But it was kind of fun to do that. And we did it live on TV. It was great. I still have pictures somewhere about that.
And you kind of bring up a really great sort of the theme of this podcast really is, gone are those days of radio
wars,
radio of yore, where there was competing. I mean, there's still competing shows, but it's not like it's like Sears competing with Macy's now, as opposed to Tony competing with, the guy across the street.
Yeah. It's not the same because there's so many conglomerates and it's too bad. It is what it is. You can't fight progress, if you want to call it that.
But now this is the part that I want to tap into is, the majority of your career was during really the heyday of radio. The 80s, the 70s, 80s, and 90s are really,
fun.
That was it.
It was fun. I mean, it's still fun now.
Yeah.
It's still, it is great now, but it was... I mean, especially, all right, 70s, 80s, 90s, you're young. I mean, I'm 66 years old, okay? So go back 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
When you're just kicking ass, taking names later. You don't care. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had some great radio wars. We really, really did. I mean, when I was at Magic 92, we all left there to go to CMF because new management came in and they were schmucks. So we all went, pretty much. Dave Kane went first. I went after. Spezzano came over, Scott Spezzano. We all went to CMF. And it was great because we crushed, Magic 92. They changed the top 40. And later on, of course, they became a country station. And now they're crushing everybody. But it was fun, doing it. Yeah. And the same thing at VOR. When we didn't like what was going on at VOR, Dee and I switched over to Warm. And they never recovered. They have not recovered yet. And it's been 28 years.
So now one of the sort of recurring themes with working in radio is, and this is when I went to school in radio in the early 90s, it was like, all right, well, and this was South Florida. So they're like, when you get a job, you're not going to get a job here. This is too big a market. You're going to get a job, and my joke is doing the cattle report in Wichita. And a lot of people, they do that. They play that game when they work in radio. They resign the fact that they're going to be going to station after station, hopping around the country.
Didn't want to do that.
Didn't want to do that. That wasn't your goal at all?
No. At first, when I was 23, I started doing mornings here at 23, which
that's fantastic.
Pretty young. And then at 24, I started getting calls from all over the country. I was at Magic 92. What was happening is the people at CMF, they had a consultant who was still Jeff Pollack is his name, and I should have followed him, actually. They wanted me to come to CMF, and I said no, because I was trying to play the loyal card,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they started sending tapes out. So I was getting calls from St. Louis and Chicago and Washington and all that stuff. And I was pretty tempted, but I was 24 years old. And I thought, I can't go to Washington at 24 years old. I'll get the shit kicked out. So I was afraid to move at that point. And then every time I actually just went over to CMF and started working with them. But then I still would get, calls here and there. I went out to visit a friend of mine at KZZP in Phoenix on the day their morning man left to go to Chicago. And I always carry a tape. And the program director, I didn't want to work there. I was trying to syndicate something called I Missed It News.
Yeah.
The weekend update, basically. Same thing. And I handed him a tape. I said, what do you think of the tape? You want to buy the program? He goes, I'd rather have you. He wanted me to do afternoons, which I was fine. I could do afternoons in KZZP in Phoenix. I had friends out there. But I decided at the last minute to stay. So that one, and then at San Francisco, I just started dating my wife. We were like 6 months together before we were married. And I got a call from San Francisco, and I thought, ooh, that would be nice, San Francisco. But then I said to the guy, you guys get earthquakes out there, don't you? And sure enough, Scott, that was the year 1989 of the World Series earthquake when it was the Giants and the Oakland A's and the big earthquake. I'd have been there for that. So
wow.
Dodged a bullet. But
seriously,
yeah. So I ended up staying, and I'm real happy about it because it turned out great. I mean, I've been married for over 30 years now, and I got a couple of kids and all that stuff. So it worked out fine. I said to myself, if you're going to stay here, you better make it worth your while. You better make it good.
Oh, yeah.
And so it worked out so far.
Yeah.
So good.
So far, so good.
So I started on my first day on radio here was January 30th, 1977. That was my first day on radio here. So I've been here ever since. I did some part-time stuff in 86, but full-time was January of 87. So it's worked out. It's been fun. It's a nice gig. It's a nice gig.
So this is kind of one of the things is that you're one of the last people in town that has a nice gig.
It's me, Weeze, and Spazzano.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is that the people that are in Rochester, all of the big names have been big names for 30 years or so.
Yeah.
It's not been a town of a lot of people coming and going.
No, it's a nice place to live.
It is.
I mean, I don't like the weather most of the time. I mean, I'm not a big fan of winter. And I do get to get out of here in the wintertime and go to Florida a lot. But no, I mean, Weeze and I have talked about this. We're the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
You know, when we're done, it's done. I mean, no one's going to be it's just not going to be. The radio's changing, obviously. It's and especially with companies like iHeart and whatever the other companies calling themselves Audacity or something.
Oh, yeah. Odyssey.
Odyssey. I don't know. Audacity.
I keep wanting to say Audacity, too, because it's a recording program.
Okay. But, and so, with voice tracking and jocks on many stations and all of that stuff, I think the major markets will keep major morning shows, but once the three of us are gone, and I don't know if there's anybody else. I mean, the Bee has a good morning show, but I don't know any of their names. They're fun. I've seen them and heard them stuff. They're fun. But I don't know that those people will last 30 years. I mean, I've been on the air for 43 years.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen again. And if it does, it's going to be not a lot of money for those folks either.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that the whole business model for radio has changed, and so the talent, I don't even, do they even use that word anymore? Talent?
Not when they're talking to me. I used to take a program around to colleges, things that were supposed to kill radio. Okay, it started out with movies was going to kill radio.
Right.
Then when they became talkies, that was going to kill radio. Records was going to kill radio. People said, why should I listen to radio? I can buy the record. The satellite radio, XM was going to kill radio. The Walkman, the Discman, internet radio was all going to kill radio. And I said, the only thing that's going to kill radio is the people who own it. And they're doing the best job that they possibly can. I mean,
that's so true.
It's true. I mean, I'm not happy about what the big companies have done. I mean, and now that they've passed this thing where you don't have to have a station in the city a license, that means we can all become XM, just a big computer with 100 stations in a building somewhere in San Antonio. Yeah. That'll happen. And you might have a local morning show, you might not. At our place, we stress local, because that's basically all we got. We're playing the same music everybody else is playing. Okay, right. Nothing surprises anybody in radio anymore. I mean, we know the music. You come to Warren to listen to this music, and we talk about local stuff because that's it.
It's really the only reason to listen to.
I mean, I don't think people today, young kids, listen. My kids don't listen to radio.
Yeah,
never have. I said, where do you find your new music? I don't know. They don't even know. Okay.
Yeah, it just shows up.
Yeah, so that's fine. But there's a generation still that'll, take me out, but I think 10 years from now, I don't know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah.
I hope not to be worrying about it in 10 years.
You've had a good run. I think yes. You'll be good by then.
I just like to stick the landing, Scott, a few more years.
Well, leave on your terms.
Yeah. I mean, I keep saying I'll keep working as long as they let me.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? It's too much. First of all, it's fun. The only thing it's not fun is getting up at 3:30 in the morning. After that, it's fun. And it's, to me, kind of easy. I've been doing it for so long that even on bad days, if I'm in a crummy mood, still get there, and it's, you get in a better mood once you're there. So
you come from, your family is very successful. You have brothers that are widely successful in their business ventures and stuff.
Yeah. I'm the black sheep. I'd be a rock star in any other family.
That's funny that you say you're the black sheep because you're still very successful. How is that dynamic affected you throughout the years?
Well, it's funny because my parents were very supportive of all of us. Okay. I remember when my brother was in high school, the art teacher came to our house and said, Jerry is too good to be in this school. You should get him to a school where he can really, and he became a great artist and a graphic designer and owned a bunch of advertising agencies and is very successful. But my parents did that. They put him in another school and they had to pay for it, you know. Then they, of course, paid for college at RIT. You know, and then when I was going into radio, my parents, who knew nothing about this stupid business, bought me a really cool tape deck, you know, and an amplifier to go with it. And, you know, they were very supportive all the time.
Yeah.
The only time my father wasn't supportive was when I was 10 years old. I said I wanted a guitar, and he said no. So my aunt, his sister, bought me a guitar. I'm sure it pissed him off.
At least you didn't ask for a drum set.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I saw the Beatles and Ed Sullivan. I said, guitar.
So why was it the noise, or what was the reason he didn't want you to be a musician?
Probably.
You're not going to be a musician.
Really.
Not my son.
I think he saw the Beatles and Ed Sullivan too.
Yeah, right. There you go.
He said, "Nah, I don't think so." Well, so I've been playing guitar ever since. But no, so they're very supportive. So both my brothers very successful, and it's fun because I learned a lot from them, a great deal from them.
Are they much older than you?
6 and 8 years older. So
Okay.
I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
I'm the baby. And it was cool because it was like being a younger brother, but also being like a only child. Because when I was like 6, they were 12 and 14.
Yep.
They were doing their thing. I'm hanging with mom at home and doing stuff, you know. And again, parents very supportive, coming to all the baseball games, all that stuff, you know. So it was a good. You know, I keep telling people I've had a Leave It to Beaver upbringing, and it really, really has. And I feel like I was raised so well and had such an easy time of it that I owed that to my children. So, you know, support them.
You know, they say that the way you're brought up, you know, you pass that down, whether you want to or not. A lot of times.
Yeah, exactly.
The good and the bad.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, there's some bad in there too. You know,
we can't all be perfect.
No, of course not. I mean, I remember yelling at my kids and hearing my father's voice come out of my
Right,
mouth.
right.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Get back in there, Dad.
But now your kids are doing really
They're doing
well.
really well. My daughter's she's living in Denver. She's a marketing director for a financial firm that it's called Farm Plus Financial. They loan money to farmers.
Nice.
Okay, and she's just going through a whole rebranding of that. They hired her to rebrand the corporation and do a whole new website and all that stuff. So she's in the process of that. And my son is working for a shoe company called On Running. It's kind of like a high-end running thing, and he's all over the country. Today's in Boston. He's been, in the last month, he's been crisscrossing the country doing different things with the company. That's not even part of his job, just that they like him so much they use him for a lot of different things.
And he's still doing music on the side?
Yeah, he's got his 3rd album out. He's working on it. It's weird. It's the weirdest music you'll ever hear. I call it a combination of surf rock meets Game Boy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting.
You can hear two of his songs in the movie Bottom
That's
Feeders,
right.
which you can
That's
watch
right.
on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, yes. I watched that. Fun movie. Boy, you had some good actors in that movie.
Yeah.
There was some real, I mean, even the guy, what's his name? The guy that works in, oh, Jesus. Austin.
Oh, yeah.
He's amazing. He's a great actor. Austin Scott, yeah, great actor. I mean,
Yeah, we
just
lucked
natural.
out with that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was fun. And it was fun to hear my son's music, you know,
As soon as you shared it one day on social media and I played it and I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And I listened to more and I couldn't, you know, I was like, well, we can't use all his songs. We got to just use 2.
He's got 2 more albums.
That's great.
Yeah, and they're fun. They're interesting. Like I always tell people I like it not just because he's my son, even though it's not what my preference.
Sure.
I love the production and the intricacies and all the things he does. He was a musical genius right out of the box. I mean, at 4 years old, I gave him one of those little kid harmonicas, you know, and I'd sing a song and he'd mimic it. Yeah. And I was like, holy cow, this kid's at 4, he can do that. Because I can't. I could never hear something and play it. He can hear something and play it, and I want to kill him.
Yeah, it's taken the parenthood a little far.
Yeah.
But still, I'm kind of experiencing that with my son who's going to school for music. He's in Fredonia, and you know, he's basically accomplishing all the things that I couldn't or didn't try to.
That's okay.
You know, and I love that.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it.
I look at it this way. It didn't work out for me, but it's working out for him, and that's great. I think I had something to do with it. and nurturing
Sure,
him,
absolutely.
and that's fine. I mean, I love to see him do his stuff, and my daughter too. I mean, they both. What I'm happy about both my kids, they did what my brothers and I did. They pursued their dreams. A lot of kids just get jobs out of college and work a job. My kids wanted to do what they wanted to do, and they pursued it relentlessly, and it's working out. I mean, there are times when it wasn't, but it's working out, and that's all I could ask of
Yeah, I'm sure that, is widely due to the fact that you did that for your career. You chased your dreams, and you did well at it.
I think it's, I think it's a trait that you're born with. I really do.
Yeah.
This is something that you're born with. I mean, people, like I said, you just got it or you don't. You do it or you don't. So thankfully they're doing it.
What would you do if you owned a radio station today besides try to sell it right away?
I'd sell it right away. Well,
is there anything that you would...
years ago, I did almost get into radio ownership twice. And I'm sort of glad I didn't, but you always get, you look at the market, you find the hole in the market if there's a hole in the market, and you go after that hole in the market. I'm known for what I do, so I'd have to do what I do. I'm not going to go to someplace and do something totally different that would piss people off. No, I think what we do at Warm is we're doing the right thing. There's some things I would change, but that's because I'm a morning guy. I want more, personality. I think radio is going to live or die on personalities, not music, because you can get music anywhere. Okay,
100%.
And there's, I can get any music I want anytime I want. So I think radio should be more personality driven. It won't be because it's cheaper not to. So.
Yeah, that's a shame that the business model is what it is.
I know,
how
but
it works.
I've always said if you have something to say, they'll find a place for you to say it.
Podcast, that's true. Podcasts, live streaming,
exactly. So there's if you have something, and there are people like Joe Rogan. I'm not a fan, but look what he's done.
No, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I hate Howard Stern, but look what he's done. All right. So if you have something to say, they'll find a place for you to say it, or you'll find a place for you to say it. And you can't argue with the way technology is. You can't fight technology. It is what it is. You just got to live.
Yeah.
I listen, I understand Amazon killed all the malls. I get it. But if Bezos didn't do it, somebody would have.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Once we invented digital, it's easier to do this, and then, it shows up at my door. Why am I going to go to the store?
Yeah. Guilty.
I live 40 miles from Eastview Mall. Yeah. I might go once a year to Eastview Mall. I love the place. Okay.
Yeah.
But I get it, and that's just the way things are happening, and you can't fight that. I just have to learn to live, with that and figure out what's best for you. So.
Yeah, and any industry that doesn't embrace and try to incorporate the trends is going to be left behind. Yeah. Look at Kodak. I mean, they missed that boat. I'm no expert on the company, but I do know some superficial things.
There was a guy who wrote a book about the Polaroid suit,
Yeah.
He's actually Harvey Fierstein's brother. You know who Harvey Fierstein is?
Yeah, the Broadway guy. Yeah.
His brother was the lawyer for Polaroid. And I had him on my show, and I read the book. It was very thick, very detailed about how Kodak basically made the Polaroid camera and tried to, fudge it that it wasn't. They're wrong. And they knew they were wrong from the get-go. So they got sued for $1 billion. They ended up paying $900 million to Polaroid. And it was just hubris. We're Kodak. We thought we can do this. And I asked the guy, I said, why didn't Kodak just buy Polaroid? Because Polaroid couldn't have been worth $1 billion. And here's the funny thing. He goes, boy, I never thought of that. Why did really? That's the first thing I would have thought of. If being sued for $1 billion, I'll just buy you.
Maybe that's a way of thinking that just wasn't around then.
Maybe.
It seems so second nature now. It's like, just buy it.
Yeah. And speaking of Polaroid, my kids both have Polaroid cameras. They love Polaroid cameras. They love vinyl. Well, my son likes vinyl.
I see. They have the Instamatic or whatever they call the.
And they get the Polaroid film or whatever it is, and they love vinyl records. So they like that old stuff.
the retro stuff.
I think it's a fad. I don't think they're going to ever come back. It's
not in a real way.
Not in a real way.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for a while. Record store day, blah, blah, blah. It's great. I love all that stuff. I used to have a bunch of records. I've saved some records because I just couldn't part with them.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I put them all here on my phone. So I got 1,200 of my favorite songs on my phone.
Right.
And 1,200 records took up, the studio. So.
And how hard was it to get those damn songs into that phone?
I had the hammer and nail. It's like, oh, it kept breaking. I was a bitch. But so no, radio has been for me a great gig. I don't know. I keep thinking, what else would I have done? Advertising, and I did for a while. Have an ad agency, and that was fun. I did both for a while, but I realized radio was so much easier.
At what point when you were a kid did you realize that that's what you wanted to do?
It's funny. I didn't remember this until my mother told me about it. Then the memory is as clear as day. When I was a little boy, like I'm talking 4 years old, my mother would pack me up in the car with her best friend Jenny, and I'd be in the back seat of the '56 Chevy playing. I had a little record player and a stack of 45s, and I can see that record player to this day. Okay, so I'm 4 and I'm doing that. All right, and then when I was in high school, I started imitating all the DJs around here, and my friends kept, you should go into radio, man. And I thought, nah, I can't do that. I can't do that. And then when I went to college, I walked into a college radio station and realized, hey, I can do this. So I was going to be an English teacher.
When you went to college, you were going to be an English teacher.
Yeah, because I had a great English teacher who was a really cool person, and I took a bunch of courses from her, I thought I could do this. It'd be fun. But then I walked into the radio station and said, this is more fun, and there's no curriculum and no parents to deal with. So that just kept working. As I was going to college, I kept getting jobs, weekend jobs, and doing a radio station at the college, too. So I was like, I lived at the radio station. I had an office there, and I'd do all my homework there. And stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got a job while I was in college. So when I was the day I graduated, I got a full-time job. And then I've not stopped working since 1975.
Which is a blessing.
Yeah. I mean, believe me, knock on wood, because I don't want to stop working yet.
Were you ever let go in any kind of?
No, never. That's the other thing. I've never been fired. So I think the last job I have, I want them to fire me.
You hear that?
I can collect severance. You see?
Right, there you go. Get Tulsa on the line.
Yeah, I've never been fired. Which means I don't know, or maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I don't know. I was never one to push a lot of boundaries. I'm the good little brother. I push just enough.
Just enough to
you're right. Okay. And exactly. And in my business, that's how I want to be. I was never that guy that wanted people to hate him. People love controversy. I don't feel like looking over my shoulder. I like to make friends. I've told the story there many times. I remember in middle school when they were talking about short stories. You got to write a story. Okay. You got to name your protagonist, your antagonist. You got to get the characters. And then I remember the teacher saying, what's the conflict? And I went, well, why do we have to have conflict? Why can't we all just get along? I mean, why do I need conflict? Because the story will be boring without it. Oh, man, that sucks. I don't want conflict. I want to, and that's how I've lived my life. I don't want conflict.
So that's why you haven't written any movies or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. I really am. With the conflict, it just kind of makes things annoying.
Yeah, but you have to have it, or else you don't
have it.
You don't have a story, I guess. So... I don't know. That's why, that's why Facebook is so popular, because it's all conflict. The only good stuff, and not good stuff, the stuff that gets most of the noise on Facebook is all conflict.
That's true.
Okay,
and they just proved that that's their business.
Their business model, exactly. It's too bad because it's not helping. I'm here to help. Yeah.
So, what would you tell someone who's dreaming of being in radio and they're in college right now and they're doing it?
Go into television or something with a computer. Really. I mean, I don't mean to be negative about it, but no, I wouldn't go into radio at this point in time. 20 years ago, yeah. Or sports, if you do sports radio or news radio, that type of thing.
Yeah, because that'll always be
Yeah, I think you need that type of, I don't listen to sports radio because I know the Yankees need pitching. A friend of mine, his brother is Steve Croft from 60 Minutes. Mm-hmm. And he was golfing with him in New York a few years ago with Mike Lupica and Matt Lauer, actually, before we knew that Matt was a douche. And Mike Lupica had a show on one of the, I think, WFAN in New York, and he stopped writing sports and doing all. And he asked him, he goes, "Why did you stop doing it? A lucrative gig, He says, I was tired of people talking about the Mets needing pitching. That's really, to me, that's what sports radio is.
Just over and over and
exactly.
over and over.
It's just, and then everybody complains about this, that, and the other. And I get it, but people listen, and it's it's kind of a fun thing. It's not serious. I mean, obviously over the last few years, this was some serious stuff happening with sports, but it's. I think that'll always be a thing. But as far as music radio goes, I don't think that'll be a thing. I mean, a big thing. It'll always be there, but I don't think personalities will be part of it in the future.
Yeah.
I really don't. I hope they are. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it. I really can't.
Who's the biggest personality you ever got to meet or shoot the shit with on the air?
Boy, there's been an awful lot. That's a good question. I'm trying to think.
I know it's hard to boil them all down.
Yeah, I know.
They're so different.
I know. Man, I've had Jay Leno a few times, and he remembers everything.
Yeah. There was another one that remembers everything that you told me about. Mary Lou Henner.
Mary Lou Henner. Yeah. She says she remembers every day of her life. And if I ever have her on again, I'm going to say, okay, when's the last time I spoke to you? Okay. But Leno, because I did 2 gigs with Leno. One, my 10-year college reunion, I was with Nick and the Nice Guys, and we opened for Leno. And I got to go backstage and talk with him, and he was a lot of fun. And then he was at Red Creek one night, and I ended up on stage with him for some reason, okay? And when I spoke with him a couple of years ago, I had mentioned those things, and he remembered. He goes, oh, yeah, I remember you came up, blah, blah, blah. He remembers all that stuff. He remembers every gig he's done.
Insane.
It is.
That's
and
insane.
I know people broke his balls for a long time, and I get it. Who knows if he did the right or wrong thing. But I think he's genuine, and I like him. I mean, I like Letterman, too, but I like Jay Leno. I thought he was a good guy. And I think he was, he got just crucified for the Tonight Show thing. He should have never quit in the first place. He was still number 1. No, don't give it to Conan yet. Okay? If Conan wants to go someplace else, that's Conan's business, but we're number 1 right now. Why would you change number 1?
Yeah.
I like Letterman better, to be honest, as far as his show, but Leno was number 1. Why would you? That was NBC so screwed up. It's ridiculous.
Did you see that movie?
Yes.
What was it called?
The Night Shift or
Night
something
Shift or
something like that. And there's a new one out now that I have somewhere in a DVR. Late Night Wars. It's not a movie. It's CNN did something last summer, I guess it was. And I have 10 episodes somewhere in a DVR. I gotta find
Something else to binge.
Yeah, exactly.
So so you just you're pretty much just gonna chill, enjoy the job, and
I want to do this for
do you wanna go out?
as long as they let me.
As long as they let you.
I've been able to do a lot of things because of my job. When in the 80s, when I was in Nick and the Nice Guys, I traveled around the country on the weekends. Got to do a lot of cool things. I did the Olympics. I did Super Bowls, and and that was part of it because of talking about it on the air and do all that stuff. And I got to travel and got to do all that stuff. And it's just so much fun. And being on the air, I keep telling, this is not to sound like a braggart, but I get every day someone will say something nice to me. Mm-hmm. Okay, but because I'm on the air,
right?
I keep saying I wish teachers would get that. Okay?
Right? Yeah.
I just go and screw around for 3 hours, folks. Okay. There's some method to the madness, but it's not curriculum. It's not dealing with 30 kids in a class who are stone cold, and don't want to be here. It's not working until 9 o'clock. My wife was a teacher. Okay. And she would work till 8, 9 o'clock at night. People say, "Oh, they only work 9 months." So y'all shut up.
Right. It's their whole life.
It's their whole life, and so I get something said nice to me when people see me every day. I wish teachers would get that. I wish first responders would get that. They're getting that now. So that's been a real nice thing. But no, I want to do this for as long as they let me. Why retire? If they, unless I'm out of it and they say, you're not that good anymore or whatever. Okay, fine. I get it. There's a time and a place for everybody.
Right.
I'm kind of hoping I last a little longer. I'll be 67 in a month. And, it's Don Imus went to 78. Weeze is 75. And he's still doing it.
Is he doing the Uka Chaka?
Uba Chaka started today, as a matter of fact. Yeah. 31 shopping days till my birthday. So, November 5th.
Well, I worked with you for a short time when I was doing traffic on your show and then lucked out by getting a morning gig down the hall. And I mean this when I say that for the short time that I worked with you, I really absorbed a lot of how you did things and how you do things and how you handle yourself on the microphone, how you handle yourself with guests, callers, all that kind of thing. You know, I was like a sponge when I walked
Good,
into that
yeah.
room. So I really appreciate everything that I got to learn from you, and you were gracious about it. You didn't yell at me too much when I screwed up the traffic, or at all.
I always have I have a slogan: nobody died. Right.
right.
Okay.
And that's one of the. I think that's one of the first things that you said. When I first started, I like totally screwed up a traffic report, and I was beating myself up. He's like, nobody died. Nobody died.
Well, I used to, when I used to, obviously you take yourself too seriously sometimes. I used to, if I had a bad show, my rest of my day was sucked.
Right.
Now it's like, no, okay, that's done. It's like you got to look at it like you're a pitcher in the major leagues. Okay, you hit a guy, you walk the guy, they beat you 6-0. Tomorrow's another day, you get to go out and do it again.
Yeah.
So, but I used to like, oh man, the rest of my day was shit, So now it's like, and quite frankly, when you take that pressure off of yourself, you don't have that many bad shows. I mean, there are days when I'm not feeling it, but when you get there, it's things start going.
Yeah.
And then you just go with the flow, and it sort of works out. So I haven't, what I would call, had a bad show in a long time. There are shows that I think are, like today I had a great one. I mean, I had a lot of fun today. We had guests in from Jiva for the first time since COVID.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
We've been giving away tickets to New Kids on the Block. We're having all sorts of fun. So it's kind of, and just going back and forth, having fun with Christy. But there are days when it's like, God, I don't want to be here. I want to be home sleeping, you know. But, those are few and far between at this point. But no, it's been a good gig, and I loved that I was able to bounce to a few different stations and have the success of those stations. Because it's on me, quite frankly. That's it. When I went from Magic to CMF and it's VOR to Warm, it was basically on me. So it's kind of nice it worked out. So far so good.
And you're at Warm for how long?
28 years. It'll be in March. 28
years in March.
Yeah. So.
Well, congrats. Yeah. It's a hell of a career.
It's been fun. I know. It's weird. It's just, I look back and I say, where did the last 40 years go? I mean, that was like pretty quick. And it is weird, but it's been a good time.
Well, I've appreciated you coming out and hanging out with me
fun.
And talking about radio.
I could talk about radio forever. I really do. I could talk about all the different things that all the. Someday I should write things down, but I don't think I ever will. There's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of embarrassing stuff.
I'd buy that book for sure.
I'm sure a lot of people would. But you know what I don't want to be? I don't want to be brutally honest. So I probably will never do it.
Yeah.
There's some things that shouldn't be repeated.
Right.
But
and that's what everyone wants to hear.
That's the things that people, right. Again, I don't want the conflict.
No
it's
conflict.
Like, you know what? It happened. Someone was right. Someone was wrong. It passed. Nobody died.
Amen.
All right.